welcome back to the Fut-Afrique podcast. I am still chilling with the amazing Kaylin Swart, just getting to know her a little bit more. Kaylin, a lot of people don't actually know about your football history. I remember during the World Cup, people were like, "Haibo, who's this?" People, we've got a lot of ignorant supporters who just basically watch whatever match they want to watch, but don't actually invest or give time to women's football. But you've been in the football spaces for long, since you were in high school, since you were a baby. And we know that it's not just football that you played. People don't know that there were other sports that you were really good at. You could have been a professional in other sporting codes. However, when you're speaking about football, you made your first national debut call-up at the age of 17 for the under-17s. And since then, it's just been growth after growth after growth. Take us through some of the most fundamental moments and what you've taken out of the whole, environment to build you and make you the player that you are today. When people are talking about Kaylin Swart and you start trending at number 1 or number 2, it started way back, but take us through the growth of Kaylin Swart.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't know most of our stories from where we've begun and where we started, but I think a lot of our stories are similar. Starting in the street, playing with the boys, and I think it was really when I started high school was when I kind of took football a lot more serious. But yeah, I think it also started at the HBC. I got to HBC when I was in grade 9, so around about 14 years old, and that's when I left home for the first time. And I haven't been back since, so it's crazy. But yeah, and I think our first national team call-up was when we were 15, going into the under-17 national team. And at that time, none of us really grasped the aspect of being in the national team and what it entails and how it is, what routine we go into and all of those things. But yeah, and then obviously in 2010, is when we were the first team to qualify for the Under-17 World Cup in Trinidad and Tobago, and what an achievement that is. Sometimes there's a few of us, like myself, Jermaine, Nomvula, Robin, we'll sit at the dinner table and we'll actually reminisce on the days that, we were still so young. And I mean, we were 15, 16 years old in the national team, and none of us really knew what it would take for us to be at this level.
Of football.
A lot of it was, we were starstruck. A lot of the names that the teams from Germany, Mexico, China, these are players that are they've made a name for themselves already. So we were literally newbies. So it was a real eye-opener for us. And I think also our coach at the time, Solly Luvengo, what a guy, what a mentor, what a coach he was. He knew exactly how to deal with us as, the young individuals that we were. And I mean, we were still so fresh. And our football didn't develop as fast as, people had thought we would. We were still growing. I mean, our bodies were growing, our bodies were changing. We were becoming, young, teenagers at the time. And it's so crazy going from that to where we are now, and the journey that we've been on. Going through under 17, under 20, and then going into Banyana. What a shock! That transition was.
3 FIFA World Cups. Hey, you've got the bragging rights, you've got the street cred, you've got everything. So people who don't know about your involvement in football, this speaks volumes about the kind of player that you are. You spoke about being starstruck. Does it still happen? How do you handle it as a player currently when you have to play at the FIFA World Cup and you're playing against people that you call your idols? Is it a moment where, do you get really starstruck, or you just know that I'm doing a job, I'm here on the clock?
I think over the years we've kind of really respected ourselves in saying that we are just as good professionals as they are. And yes, they have more money, they have more exposure, but we're heading in the right direction. We have a better social media presence now, and people are we are exposed in these, platforms where people actually see us as, professionals and internationals. And I think it's amazing that we've built our own brand from nothing to where we are now. And a lot of us obviously have the presence of the media, and whether it's good or bad, but the fact that people all over the world know us and know who we are and, follow us. And I think a lot of our brands have grown so much in the last couple of years. And, the 2023 World Cup, I think, was the pinnacle of our career. you know, everyone wanted to know who Banyana Banyana is and was, and you know, where we come from. And yeah, so things like this, talking about where we started and how, you know, the journey was and how the struggle was, because nothing was ever easy for us, you know, because we always started on the back foot. And now when you see the development starting to, you know, trickle in, which is awesome for the women's game. But yeah, it's wild, and I mean, I'm loving it, because this is the things we dreamt of, and you know, we're kind of living our dream now. And yeah, I think I would talk about my story all the time, because not many know it, and when people hear it, they'll know exactly that, okay, there is a future, there's someone that they can look up to, because I never had it, you know, on a silver platter for all my life. And now that I'm actually, you know, reaping all the rewards and the hard work that I've put in for 29 years now is really coming to fold. And yeah, it's awesome. And I mean, I'm just thankful that I can have the career that I have, despite all the challenges, you know, not being in a professional league and things like that. But for me to perform the way I am, not having those things, I mean, if I inspire the next generation, then I think
trust me, believe me, you definitely do. You speak about the dedication, and we are hoping that sponsors come on board and remain consistent, because I think that's a very important element, to remain consistent and not just reward you guys and talk about you when you guys win WAFCON, when you guys make it to the top 16. It has to be throughout, not when you guys are trending. And big ups to you. You are a Lotto sponsored athlete. That speaks volume. I mean, sponsorship, brand endorsement, and those kind of things are a big thing to athletes. We're just hoping that more doors definitely open. So speaking about the dedication that you give to sports and motivating others, I think it is a little bit of an injustice if we don't speak about Janine. You know, you definitely play for her club, and she's somebody that's definitely paved way for a lot of people. She owns a club which is one of the very few in the Hollywood beds that has development structures, all the way from the GDL, regional to Sasol and all of that. And she's done it as a player. You know, you never know, and this is inspiring to many players. She's broken a record, 185 caps, national caps, both male and female. Take us through how it's always been, and I know you guys are good friends, but she's somewhat the chairman of the club you work for. So there's that level of respect that we always give to our chairmans. She once used to be a coach as well, and she's a player. How do you maneuver around that relationship to say, friend, this is work time now, or coach, you're the chairman? How do you separate those roles?
You know, I always refer to Janine as a legend. She is someone that, you know, every girl or boy can look up to. She's really started from the bottom, and
started from the bottom. Now we're here.
I think Janine has given her all to this national team, to the club, to her football career. And I mean, all of us are so privileged to be, you know, in her space, and the fact that we represent her name for her club, and the one that she's built from nothing to where it is, you know. And, you know, women's football kind of started to become popular around 2010, 2011, 2012, and the fact that the club was established in 2012 is such a fitting year, because at that time we were going to the Olympics. You know, and that was the first Olympics that we went to, was in 2012, when we were still in, it was in England, in London. And and I was still so young, fresh out of high school. So yeah, I think her being the mentor and the person she is, none of us really feel like we talking to our boss or someone that, you know, pays our salaries or whatever. She's always been so humble in her approach, the way she interacts with people, and I think that is something that no one can take away from her. Is the person she is, and how she, you know, deals with a lot of things that are around her. And she's so humble, and she's dedicated her life to this club, and you know, she's just retired, and I really hope that I even get close to her caps, but also just the contribution that she's given to the women's game. And you know, we have the development structures at JVW, and it's awesome, because a lot of these kids come and watch us, they see us train every night, and you know, I mean, as a young girl who's 12 years old, I didn't have that inspiration every day when I see,
Yes.
you know, players that are in the
Yes.
national team or players that are playing at the highest
Yes.
level. Every day I'm be like, oh, I want to be like
Yes.
Janine, or
Yeah.
I want to be like Kaylin, or
Yes.
Gabby, or Robin, you know, and that is the privilege that these players have that not a lot of players have
Had
in the
the
development.
past, yeah.
And yeah, so it's awesome, and I just hope in the new year the development, you know, brings in more numbers, because we want to see the development grow, not just in the club, but overall, so that there is a future for Banyana. And obviously the under 17, under 20 national teams also need, you know, new, fresh players to come on board to really, you know, spike the interest and the exposure to the
Yes.
national team. But yeah, I think just her being who she is, I think it's massive. And yeah, I'm happy to represent JVW as best as I can. And yeah, I just hope that when she goes into a new chapter now as coaching, it's funny because on the bus when we were coming home from Ivory Coast, I was like, dude, I won't be able to call you mate anymore.
Yeah.
She was like, you better call me mate. I'm not your coach.
Oh,
yeah, so
man.
I was like, gee, so what must I call you, coach or mate? She's like, you better call me mate because I'm not your coach.
And that's the Janine that we know, so authentic, so friendly. Regardless of the roles or the designation of her in the club, she's just always somebody that you can rely on, you can call a friend, you can be dependent on. And she's done so phenomenal for the footballing industry. And you spoke about, I hope that, you know, for the future, you speak about the young ones that are following under, after you. And I know Simpiwe Lulu spoke like that as well. I know Portia Mudisa spoke like that about you guys, and you guys are doing so well and making sure that that girl's little dream, you know, prospers. And I know you're a coach as well, so you definitely deal with a lot of development. And I know there's a lot of young ones that are looking up to you. And I'm sure they tell their parents when they're at home that, Mommy, that's my coach, you know, when you're playing on the highest football level. But Kaylin, you've done so well for yourself, and I'm hoping that anybody that's watching this podcast can definitely try and Google and actually find out about you, because that's people act or behave like there's no access to information of what it is that you guys do, but there is. It's just a matter of actually researching and actually following the game, supporting, pulling up, you know. I mean, you would know JVW is one of the teams that really has a big audience when it comes to supporters, parents, friends, and all of that, and Mamelodi Sundowns. But I feel like if people just continue to support you guys and engage with you guys, we'll definitely grow the conversation about women's football, and we will know when you're nominated. Speaking of nominations, how are you feeling about being nominated for the Hollywood Bets Awards, having it so tough this year, and finally making it into the nomination list to walk away with the goalkeeper of the season?
Yeah, that's an achievement in itself, but I should mention that, you know, me being nominated on the shortlist for CAF, you know, goalkeeper of the year, that was massive for me too. I think just the recognition alone kind of validated that, you know, my hard work has gone to something.
How did you feel when you saw it? Because we were all talking about it. We were like, what?
Yeah, I was in awe. Honestly, I was in awe. And I think,
you deserved
it. When I was talking to my dad, and I was like, I actually can't believe it.
You had to pinch yourself. Like, I can't believe.
I might not win it, but, you know, just the nomination alone is, you know, the recognition that I needed. But yeah, and obviously in the Hollywood Bets League, I've worked so hard this year to really, you know, help my team as best as I can. And yeah, like, let's hope on Saturday that it's a good outcome.
We'll receive we're manifesting, we're lighting the candles.
It's amazing, and I mean, I can only thank God for blessing me with, you know, this year that I had, and, you know, keeping me injury free and making sure that I'm healthy and, you know, able to help my team. But yeah,
and that's awesome. A big one to be very thankful for, injuries, because we've seen a couple of them, and that threw a lot of players off. That obviously you don't expect injuries, but for the fact that you've had a bit of a dodge when it comes to injuries, but you did absolutely amazing. We wish you all the best. And WAFCON is coming up. I know you need to be in the right head and shape, but now we're going to wrap up so you can take that break, but continue doing exactly what it is that you're doing, and we're hoping to have you back on our show again. Thank you so much, Kaylin.
No problem. Thank you.
Well, that's a wrap for this conversation and this chat with Kaylin Swart. We hope you follow us and like and comment and engage with us on all our social media platforms to let us know also who you would want to see on this chair having a conversation about women in football.